one of the coolest things about doing this book was being able to kind of go around and take pictures with a bunch of my friends and family. And, one of my friends, Sam, who's actually in one of the other classes of yours, I took her picture and I did this. So I thought I'd start with that since this is one of your... Do you guys know Sam? Is it just the other class? This is weird. No, I shouldn't talk about her. You guys don't know. Anyways, so she's in the other class. The poem is called Hungry. My face is full of braces. My plate is full of meat. And all the things I love so much but don't know how to eat. And so really, that's just a silly little poem about when we have braces. Are you guys studying food as well?
Yes.
Okay. So this was really, the book, my goal with the book was not really to teach people about food, but really to just do some fun things with it and have people appreciate the experience of food in itself. But I wanted to start off with this poem because, not because it's some great smart thing, but it's just really fun. And the title of it is Hungry. Now you all are in college. You guys are young and beautiful. And you got so much ahead of you in your life. The thing is, I actually sat right where you did just a few years ago, it seems. The only thing is, when I did it, I hated it. I hated everything about where you were sitting. I didn't like it, and I wanted to quit at all costs. Until, in fact, I was going to quit, and then my best friend told me, hey, just do one more semester and stick in there. And I did. And I'm so glad that I did, because I found something to be hungry about. And so that's what you're doing. I don't know if anybody, some people here is like, hey, I know exactly what I want to do. Great. I'm not talking to you. But the people that are like, hey, I think I know what to do, but I'm not really sure, I'm talking to you. Because please talk back to me. I like it. I like when people talk to me. So I invite that. So I sat, it wasn't until that I took that extra semester that I almost didn't take until I found what I was hungry about. And so I learned that I was hungry about art and creativity. As she said, I've worked at some of the largest creative advertising agencies in the world, and that came from my experiences when I was in college. And it went from, I hate this place, to I'm hungry for this, and I can't do anything without it. And so I want to encourage you to be looking for what you're hungry for, more than just what your food. But today, we're going to talk about this book. It's not about hungry for academics. It's hungry for food. I want to start there. So this book was really created to talk about the absence of appreciation of food and family. Really, what I wanted to do was create a book that got people excited about eating food again. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me ask you this. How many of you guys actually eat dinner on a regular basis with their family at a dinner table? It's about half of you guys. It's way better in here than it was in the last room, by the way. There's 2 people that raised their hands. And that's a very common change. It's a big shift. Because 20 years ago, it would be very uncommon for people to not raise their hands and say, hey, I eat dinner with my family every day. There's a big shift that's happened in our country. It's very odd for my wife, because I tell her, I make her sit down and have dinner with me and look me face to face every day. And it's very important to me. And she doesn't understand, because when she was a kid, she didn't have that. She didn't have like a family to kind of do that with her. So it's a very interesting thing, and it's kind of a life-changing thing for us. When I was a kid, it was the centerpiece of when my dad disciplined me. It was when he questioned me about my vocabulary. And my mom told me stories about when she was at the hospital. And it's where, my dad said, you got to get that report card up. It was like the centerpiece of life. But for so many, don't even have that anymore. So I wanted to really create this book. There's a lot of research that says that people eat dinner at their desk more often. And when you work at a big advertising agency, you work many, many late nights. And so you're there till midnight some nights, and that means you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner in front of your computer, and it's a very sad thing. And so there's a blog that is dedicated to that very thing. It's called Sad desk lunch. And it's just a blog full of people eating their sad lunches at their desk. And I teamed up with them to create this little video that I'm going to show you.
A desk is not a dinner table. You can eat dinner at a round table or a square table, an oblong table or a pear-shaped table, but a desk is not a dinner table. You can eat dinner at the beach or eat it on a boat. Eat it in a bikini or eat it in a coat. Eat it upstairs, eat it outside, eat it feeling fat or feeling thinner, but a desk, no. A desk is not a place for dinner. Call it food and face, call it stuffing belly, call it the internet with toast and jelly. Dinner at a desk needs a relabel because a desk will never be a dinner table. A desk is not a dinner table. A poem from the book, A Moose Boosh, A Few Choice Words About Food, by Eric Shabazz Larkin.
So the next thing I want to talk about is outside of the family, because there's a breakdown of what happens with food and our family, there is also a breakdown of what happens with food in our communities. And so our food is, the thing that affects us. Now, we all know that there's been lots of protests with communities rising up because of the things that were happening in Ferguson. And it's horrible. I would contend that we have a reason to protest the food that comes into our communities as well. And so that's one of the reasons. There's a huge divide with food and the people that get quality food and the people that don't. And so I want to talk about that. In fact, I wrote a poem that was very reminiscent of one from a young Langston Hughes. Anybody familiar with Langston Hughes? Anybody? A few? I used to hate Langston Hughes because I thought he had a weird rhythm to his poetry until somebody read it to me and to a jazz beat, and they started kind of rapping it a little bit, put a little snap to it, and it's when I started to appreciate it some more. Anyways, so this one was kind of written in honor of him, talking about Harlem as Langston Hughes did talk about Harlem a lot because that's where he was from. The poem reads, Food Desert in Harlem. There's a small food desert in Harlem where you can't find fresh foods, but they never talk about this when I watch the evening news. You think you've seen a fruit stand, it's only a mirage. It's a painting of a pineapple on the side of a garage. There's a small food desert in Harlem, and it's a big shame, because there are so many stores full of junk food and brand names. You see, broccoli has no logo, there's no sales rep for fresh kale, so if you want green beans and sweet potatoes, you have to eat the canned food on sale, if you're in that small food desert in Harlem. I get claps in this clap. Last clap, nobody clapped.
Are you serious?
Yeah. They actually gave me the deep face. They were like, yeah. I appreciate the deep face too. Deep face or claps. So really, this poem is talking about that. I kind of played around with this poem. You see, it's got lots of all these signs. I kind of played off the signs in New York. All the signs are everywhere. But instead of hey, grocery store, deli this, deli that, it says lots of fat, quick foods, sugar deli, processed foods. And it's a truth about our neighborhoods. The next poem that I put in here is called Family Chitterlings. And I'm going to read that for you. Family Chitterlings. Mommy eats chitterlings. Daddy eats chitterlings. Uncle Walter, Uncle Glenn eats chitterlings. Aunt Phyllis, Aunt Diane eats chitterlings. Cousin Greta loves chitterlings. Even Sister Crystal eats chitterlings. They all think I'm funny for not eating them too. But every time I say, the joke's on you. Because they don't know chitterling are pig guts. And that's why they smell like pig poop. Man, Thanksgiving, anybody have people cook chitterlings for Thanksgiving? Anybody family cook them? Your family? Your family? Oh, just a few people. Man, I was cooking some collard greens, man. I had some Brussels sprouts I was making. I was doing somebody had some turkey they was cooking up. It was smelling good in my kitchen. Then my aunt comes in there and puts some stanky chitlins on the stove. And just the place smelled like a bathroom. Gross. But it shows a divide. How many people hate chitlins or never even tried it? It's a big thing. Most of us haven't even tried it, don't like it. It's a divide because our parents like that, things that we don't. But the thing that you have to know and appreciate about chitlins is that our food is a history book. The food that we eat says something about where you've come from. Now, chitlins is part of the story of soul food. Why? Because what did they give the slaves? What did they give the poor blacks? They gave them the scraps of the scraps, the worst of the worst. And what did they do? Man, all right, I'm going to take that and I'm going to make something dope with it. And that shows you who those people are. That shows you a little bit of the history in which you come from. Soul food started from things like chitlins because they got the scraps of the scraps. They add salt, you got to add herbs, you got to add spices so that it doesn't taste like it's gross, but it tastes like it's got some flavor. And that permeated to other foods. And the meat that they had weren't the best cooked. They were decaying sometimes. So you got to put something on it to make them taste good. That's the invention of soul food. So while you hate chitlins, there's something to appreciate about where they come from. So we talked about food in our family, we talked about food in our community, but also food in our country. Cooking in our country. This is actually a picture of Dr. Martin Luther King. I worship him. He is the dopest dude ever. There's a film coming out called Selma by Ava DuVernay. It is dope. I got to see a sneak preview of it, and it is amazing. So it's going to be out on Christmas. You guys have to see it, mostly because it's more than about Martin Luther King. It's about all the people around him. I just had to give a quick shout out to Dr. Martin Luther King for that. But the next poem I want to read about our country is Stop Touching My Food. When I tried to serve him casserole, Grandpa said, "Who's been touching my food?" Farmers, packers, and shippers, coolers for summer and heaters for winter, processors, pickers, inspectors, pokers, traps, and injectors, the truck guy, the store guy, the bagger, then you. Too many people touching my food. Stop touching my food. Your grandmother used to pick her vegetables from the back and the garden in the back, and then I cooked them on the stove, and that was that. I think it's terribly rude, all these people touching my food, so stop touching my food. Maybe Grandpa just doesn't like casserole. Stop touching my food. So that's my poem about all these people touching our food. The thing is, we don't know about all the people who are involved with the food that we get to. This poem, I put this in there because it shows the major shift that has happened in our food. Because this grandpa is used to, hey, I raised it in the back, and now I'm eating it in the front. I'm raising tomatoes. Hey, across the street, you're raising goat. So, hey, you give me some of your goat, I'm going to give you some of my tomatoes, and now we're trading. You got some of my food. I'm Jamaican, so I'm sorry about the goat reference. But, I give you some of my food, you give me some of your food. That's what we got. Now we got a meal. But now, it's processed and packaged, and it's shipped over from this place, was brought to this place, and brought down this place, and it's out here and here. This person touched it. They added this. Oh, it's got to last 2 weeks because it's on a truck across the country. So now I got to add this thing and add this. And now my food is some resemblance of what food came from. And so we should, I'm not saying that we should be just super kind of health crazy people, but this poem is to instigate us to pay attention to the food that we eat. In the last class, they asked about, it's so expensive to kind of like avoid packaged foods. No. Go to a grocery store. You walk. The best way to do if you want to eat healthier and you want to eat cheaper, avoid everything in the middle. Just walk around the aisle. Walk around the outside. You know what you're going to find? You're going to find some vegetables. And then you're going to walk past those, you're going to find some meat. And you're going to walk past those, you're going to find some dairy. And you're going to walk past those, you're going to find a cash register. And then you're going to have some vegetables, and you're going to have some meat, and then you're going to go home and be happy.
Why do you think that is? Like everything that's stationed.
I think that's
now that you mention it, I think
it's very true in every grocery store.
Very true.
Actually, I think that's marketing. I think that because the thing that everybody goes to the grocery store, at least one thing on the outside wall, and so if you walk through the middle, then you're gonna like, oh, I want that, I'll pick that. So you got to go through all things to get the milk. You know, the thing that they put furthest from the door is the milk. Guaranteed, every store. Why? Because they want you to walk through all the aisles and see other things that you need to buy. Because everybody gets milk, right? Well, they used to. Everybody gets milk. I think that's changing now. But the next poem I'm going to put is, this is actually kind of what kind of jabbed me into eating healthier. I was sitting at my desk at my first job, right out of school. I was an editor doing video editing and stuff. And my boss comes up to me and goes, "Why are you eating that junk food? I mean, what you eating there? That's McDonald's? Don't you know this crap for your body? Grow up." And he walks away. What kind of interaction is that to have? And who makes you think that you can tell people what I'm going to eat? Then I looked down at the thing and says, you know, he said, "You're an adult." I looked at his food and said, yeah, this is kids' food. Like, if I want to be good to myself, I want to be good to my body, I got to do better than McDonald's. Same thing to you guys. If you're still eating McDonald's, grow up. Stop. That's kid food. Yeah, I see McDonald's cups. It's okay. Finish your Slurpee or your McFlurry or whatever. It's okay. It tastes good. It tastes good, and it's very convenient, and it's very cheap. But ask yourself, listen, a burger should not cost 99 cents. Let me just say that right now. If you're spending 99 cents for your burger, that means they did something that they shouldn't do to it. For real. Straight up. Spend at least $3 on your burger, okay? Listen, that'll change your life. So I wrote this poem. Here it goes like this. This is called The Saddest, Happiest Meal. "Oh, how did I get like this?" wailed the burger. "For once I was a cow that grazed the fields of yonder." "Oh, how did I get like this?" wailed the fries. "For once I was a tater with little spots for eyes." "Oh, how did I get like this?" wailed the drink. "For once I was a..." Wait, who was I? "Oh, just sugar, I think." Saddest, happiest meal. So this is really talking about, hey, the food, understanding like where our food comes from. You know, that burger used to be a cow. You know, those fries used to be potatoes. You know, and that drink is nothing but sugar. If you look at your drink and you look at a beverage, most soft beverages, you see how much sugar in it. It's like so much you wouldn't even believe. Now, I got to talk about sugar for a second. And pause to talk about sugar. Because sugar is one of the reasons why you are sleepy and tired. Now, you think, oh, it's because I haven't had coffee. It's not true. It's because you've had too much sugar. Sugar slows you down. In fact, sugar is just as addictive as cocaine. It is just as hard to kick the habit of sugar as it is to kick the habit of cocaine. So, I say this to you to say, check the sugar in your diet. And if you're thinking, oh man, I hate being sluggish, I wake up. If you check the carbs and the sugar that you put in, and I say carbs because carbs break down to sugar. You check how much of that you put in your diet, then you will check your sluggishness. And the other thing is your emotional health. One of the things that affects our emotional health the most is the amount of sugar and carbs in our diet. You know, I came to New York and I had a major depression when I moved to New York from Seattle. If you know about Seattle, Seattle's a place that's made of rain and clouds, and you don't get a lot of sunshine. And what sunshine gives you is a little vitamin called vitamin D. And vitamin D is something that releases serotonin into your body and makes you feel happy. And if you don't have vitamin D in your body, it doesn't as easily release the serotonin, doesn't at least let you feel like a happy person. You physically cannot feel happy. Can you believe that? Because of a chemical thing in your body. So, one of the things that happened is when I came here, I was so sad. I went to a counselor and I said, look, I'm having a problem. What do I do? The first thing she said was, what are you eating? I said, but I got this problem, but what are you eating? She changed my diet, and I changed my life. I became a bigger person, a better person. So if you're in this room and you're saying, hey, I deal with sluggishness, or if you're saying that you deal with depression. Are you anxious? Is school getting you down? Is life getting you down? Do you seem like that you have problems that you can't bear? The first thing I would say, hey, if you really want some help, the first thing I want to challenge you on is what are you eating? Maybe the thing that you think is bringing you down is not bringing you down at all. It's the food that you put in your body that is not allowing happiness to come in. I have to tell you this. I have to tell you this because it changed my life. So, the next poem I want to read is called Lab Coat Corn. It looks like corn, it feels like corn, it smells like corn, it even tastes like corn. You can butter it like corn, you could bake it like pot pie, you can fry it till it pops, or add it to stir fry. But even if it looks like corn and it feels like corn, if the corn is born in a lab instead of cropland and was raised by lab coats instead of farm hands, is it corn at all? I just talked about corn. This is a poem about GMOs. If you guys have heard that before, genetically modified organisms. I don't know what the word O is for actually. It's for genetically modified something. Organisms. Is that it? Okay. And so I just talked about corn, but actually there's so many foods that we eat that are genetically modified that are scientists. You know, there's chicken that we eat that has never walked a day in its life. That they put in a cage, they stuff its mouth full of food. And that's why you go to the store, you get the Purdue chicken, and they're like this big. Chicken ain't supposed to be that big. It's good though, but it ain't. Actually, that chicken isn't that good. Isn't as good as the other chicken. But we eat it. You know. The thing is, I want to say this. I know that I've said a bunch of poems. I've shared a bunch of poems. This is my last poem, so I've shared a lot of poems that are very like hardcore health conscious or whatever. I'm not a hardcore health conscious guy. I'm just a proponent of people understanding and appreciating the food that they eat. And so, you know, I eat all the same things. I eat all the things that are bad for me. I eat all the things. But if you, just as like you have a car and there's ways that you shouldn't drive, but you drive that way anyways, it's like, hey man, the thing is when you break it, when things are going wrong, you know how to fix a car. You got problems with your car, you know how to fix it, right? The same thing's with our body. You have problems with your body, you need to know how to fix that too. And so that's why knowing about your food and talking about your food is so important. So I don't joke you for having your McDonald's. Don't worry. I'm not. Don't worry. It's okay. Drink your McDonald's and be happy. But just know that if you start feeling a certain way, then maybe a diet change can help you. So, anyways, man, I don't even know how I got so like the last class. I didn't talk so much about that, but I went there. They seemed so curious about it, so I talk more. Now I talk more about it in here. So I think that's my presentation, and I'd love to. If you guys have any questions or anything. Yes.
Like, what do you think someone should eat to like change that life? Like, you like to be like happier, you say.
What? Why?
What should you eat?
Why should you eat differently?
What?
Oh, you said what?
Yeah.
You know what? I think that question is different for everybody. I think that like I brought up the thing about sugar because sugar is a huge factor in kind of helping us be sluggish, and because you're sluggish, you're more tired, and because you're more tired, you become more depressed. There's just a chain of things that happen that are just the truth. And so I bring up that the first thing of anything I would say is curb your sugar and your carbs. Manage your carbs. Have less carbs. And actually try to have no sugar. Try not to drink sodas. Try to drink water. Try not to eat cake. You know, try. I eat cake, but I'm just saying, try not to. I've had long periods of my life where I cut them out completely. You know, when I find myself getting really not feeling great about my life, you know, the first thing I do is change the way that I eat. You know, I want to share with you guys, so one of the things, again, is about this, I wanted to share even just kind of about the art that I created. You know, working at a big advertising agency, a lot of times you have people come in and they, you know, you have photographers come and they give you these books. You know, they say, hey, here's my photography, and they're trying to get you to use them for the next advertising campaign. And so I would have these books laying around my desks and stuff like that. And I had this one from this photographer named Rankin. And I took it and I started vandalizing it with Sharpies. Because I had Sharpies at my desk. See, I gave her a chip too, if you guys don't know names. And I started doing like just silly things like this that you guys have probably done a million times. But I took it seriously, and I kind of vandalized this whole book full of his photography. And it kind of became a style for me.
With the face.
So they're all like, this is just whiteout and Sharpies. And just from sitting on my desk. And I only show you this because I show you this because
He painted his name.
yeah, I show you these things because you might have something that you want to do too. You know, I don't know if you want to make books, if you're into art, but you might have something that you want to do. And I just want to tell you, going back to my original hungry thing, talking about hunger more than just food, but hey, if you want to do it, just do it. You don't have to wait for someone to give you some grand opportunity, or you have some large sum of money. You know, you just start doing your thing. You know, just the way I started doing this book that was on my desk. And, you know, after that, I started taking my own pictures. You know, I went on the street and I'd find people that's like a friend of mine, that's a person on the street, that's, you know, another person on the street. And I just took these things and I start vandalizing them when I took them home, and I made a thing out of it. And then eventually that's where the style of photography and illustration comes from this book, which is now all over the world. And it started, you know, on my little desk. So I just wanted to encourage you guys in that, like, as well. Yes?